Hey, Anthony Tilley here, and welcome to episode 20 of the Solopreneur Show.
Welcome to the Solopreneur Show with your host, Anthony Tilley. To get your hands on more great business training and advice, plus the chance to join our free Facebook group where you will see extended guest interviews and behind-the-scenes access to Anthony, go to www.thesolopreneurshow.com and join us today. And here's your host, the man himself, Mr. Anthony Tilley.
Hey, Anthony here. Great to see you. It is Monday the 13th of February 2017. I hope 2017 is going well for you so far. And I've got two questions today which tie in quite nicely together. So the first one we've got is from Rob, and Rob says, do you think the way that social media is going, list building is relevant still? And then he's put ... as in now you can build Facebook groups, etc. Do you have to put people into an autoresponder and email them? Okay. And then Margaret has asked, what do you think is the future of social media and relationship building? So two great questions there, really interesting questions, and two, as I say, that sort of coming together quite well. So here's my personal take on it as somebody who has spent the last 6.5 years building lists. That's pretty much what I've done, building lists and emailing them. And now with the show, doing some other bits and pieces, but ultimately still building a list. Because here's the thing. If you're using social media and yes, you're building Facebook groups, etc., or you're building Facebook pages, that's great. Obviously, there's different. So you've got a Facebook page, obviously, which people can like, and you build the know, like, and trust with, and it comes onto their timeline, etc. when they've liked things, and as long as Facebook let it, which sometimes can be a little bit frustrating. You may well notice if you have a Facebook page that you put something in there. If you put an external link then into your Facebook page, you might have like 500 likes for argument's sake on your page, and then you'll look after you've done a post and it seemed like by about 12 people or something crazy like that. So there's a few little sort of anomalies there that, even though Facebook is great, it's wonderful, it's a really good tool for getting your message out, you've still got to sort of play the game slightly and understand the rules, which are, if you try and send people away from Facebook, they don't like it, which, is fair enough. So what you do, obviously, if you have a Facebook group, which of course keeps people then on Facebook, you're sending them in there. But it's still really, really key to be able to build a list inside of an autoresponder. Because if you've got a Facebook group, which is great because obviously you've got the photographs in there, you can share personal things about yourself, about your life, give people background access to you, have the chats, etc. within there, and it just builds more of a community feel. And ultimately, that is what people stay for. Somebody said to me a little while ago, with the membership, they come for the content, but they stay for the community. And that's the thing that you want to be building. So inside of a Facebook group, you want to be trying to build that community, which is not always easy. Because people come in, they take a little look, and then they sort of they have a checkout, see what's going on, and they go on to something else. So, I'm in groups where there's like 2,500, 3,000, 4,000 people, and these are groups of good marketers, and they're run by good ethical people, and yet the engagement inside of them is very low. Even when you do put things out there, people don't like it, or they don't press the like button, or they don't comment, etc. Because obviously they're busy. There's so much else going on. So if you solely rely on a Facebook group to have that interaction, to build that know, like, and trust with people, you're missing part of the game. It's great that you've got that, but you are missing part of the game. So yes, having an autoresponder and building your list is as relevant today as it's ever been, and that's never going to go away. Yes, we see that open rates and click-through rates are dropping. And I read something recently where they reckon the average American person gets something like 123 emails a day or something like that, which is a huge amount. So, and I do it, I look inside of my inbox and I've got the box there, and I tick the delete, delete all. And then I work my way through and untick the ones that I want to keep. So it's no longer even a question of just going and sort of reading through and just getting rid of one or two. It's actually, you've got 10 on a page, you tick the whole lot, and then you just untick one or two. So it's getting more difficult to get people to open your emails because of the sheer weight of numbers that are coming into their inbox. And if you haven't seen the episode with Igor Kaifetz, I highly recommend that you check out that, because Igor talks about that. We address that issue, and that's why he sort of likes to go for the shock tactics, if you like, and making people feel uncomfortable with their lives, because it gets them out of their inertia. It spurs them on to do something. And you've got to stand out. There's something that I've sort of said a few times recently to people. It's you need to stand up and you need to stand out. And that's what you need to be doing. You need to be different as well from other people. And by being yourself, by being unique, you are that one person, you are different. But with email marketing, as I say, they're getting so many emails coming into their inboxes, etc. Open rates are falling, so it can no longer be the sole means by which you communicate with your fans, followers, lists, subscribers, whatever it is that you want to call them, whatever the term is. You need to be looking to see what other options there are out there for you to be able to communicate. Because if you imagine, you've just got a Facebook group and you've got no list, okay? You're going to be putting messages inside of your Facebook group, and a certain number of people won't see them. And the other way around, if you don't have a Facebook group and you just have email and you send email, there's going to be a certain number of those people who won't open. If you have the both, you've got a better chance of catching them. You've got a better chance of catching the fish. And that's why I also recommend that you go and join something like Instagram, Twitter. There's Snapchat, which I must confess, is not something that I've embraced as yet. It's not that I disagree with it. It's just that I personally haven't got on board with Snapchat. My 14-year-old son has. And it is definitely a means by which to be able to communicate with certain categories of people. I highly recommend, if you don't listen to or don't follow Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, I highly recommend you do, because he's an awesome guy. And, there's nobody better out there from what I can see talking about social media. And, he's a big advocate of Snapchat. So, I'm certainly not going to disagree with him in any way, shape or form. I wouldn't presume to do that. It's just something personally I haven't embraced as yet, but it's not to say that I never will. For me, I've taken on sort of Instagram and doing the posts, and got sort of various softwares, etc., to help me sort of to get more followers, etc., on that, and getting more engagement with people and bringing them in. But you need to be looking at as many different channels as you possibly can. So, Facebook page. You're going to be putting your content onto Facebook pages. As I'm starting to learn, this is sort of what I'm doing here with the show is something different to what I've done previously. And what I'm starting to find very much is a benefit is actually, just don't, even though like for me, what I wanted to do was I wanted to send people from my Facebook page to the solopreneurshow.com and get people to opt in. There's an issue there that if you're not boosting a post, which I've done all the way along, I have boosted it all the way along. But if you then try and do a post where you don't boost, if you haven't embedded that video inside of your Facebook page, if you've actually tried to just send it to another location, you're just not going to get seen in the slightest. So if you put in links into the page, if you're sending them somewhere else, that's great, that's fine. You can, if you're paying for it, then it will send them on. But if you're not paying for it, if you're just trying to go organic, then you really need to be keeping things inside of Facebook. So keeping the video, just upload it inside of it. If you've done a video And so for me personally, I use Camtasia, and the videos normally come out really sort of quite a few megabytes. So what I would suggest, there's a program called Handbrake. I'll put a link actually down below this. There's no affiliate link or anything like that. It's completely free of charge as well. But Handbrake will actually allow you to make the video web ready and web optimized. And what it will do, it will greatly reduce down the megabytes of the actual video. You don't lose the quality, but it actually just manages sort of to compress it down a bit. So then if you're uploading it to Facebook, it just makes it a lot quicker for you to upload it. And if people then sort of are watching it wherever, with sort of not such great broadband connections, that kind of thing, they're not watching such a high megabyte video. So just a small tip there. Handbrake is great. So I really would suggest anything you do actually. If you're putting things onto YouTube, or if you put them onto Vimeo, or even if you're self-hosting, you're going with sort of Amazon, that kind of thing, whatever. Put it through Handbrake first, and it will just reduce down the video itself. So if you've got the video then inside of your Facebook page, and then what you can do is actually give them the option then to go and join your Facebook group. So this is what I've been doing. Basically, when I first started, I was sending people from my Facebook page to the Solopreneur show, and then they'd enter their details. So I was getting them on my list. So I started building a nice list that way. But what I decided to do was mess around. It's all about split testing. It's all about testing things. It's all about trying different things within your business. So what I've been doing recently is actually letting people go straight into the group. But then inside of the group, every now and again, I'll put something to if you're not on my list, you're going to miss out on this. Just enter your details here. So I did that a little while ago. I need to do another one of those again soon, when sort of another glut of people come in. So there's no point hammering it all the time. But if you do that and let people know that the option is there, then they can join your list if they want to. And you've then got two means by which to communicate with them. And of course, then when you're emailing them, if you have another medium by which you want them to go and check you out, you can do, because Facebook or autoresponder, email may not be their favorite way of doing it. They may be Instagram, they may be on Twitter, whatever it is that you prefer. Here's the thing, though, you want to be careful of, and this is something that has made me sort of slightly shy away from that. So you need to be aware of this, is that it looks lovely when you send out a template where you have all your nice Instagram, Twitter, YouTube links, etc. But the problem you'll find is, particularly with something like Gmail, is that when you put something into a template, they will automatically realize that it's a promotion of some sort. And that is where you will get. Now, my inboxing is absolutely superb with my Aweber account. I know people moan about Aweber, etc. But for me personally, I have never had a problem hitting people's inbox with Aweber. I've got lots of different accounts that I test things on in Gmail, in Yahoo, in AOL, hit the inbox every single time. I then went to look to do a template. So, it looked more professional, had the Solopreneur Show logo at the top, and then I had, the Instagram and Twitter, etc. at the bottom. But by doing that, I found the exact same email. There was no difference in the subject line. There was no difference in the content. What happens is you then hit the promotions box. Now, my belief is that it's down to the fact that they can see the template. Obviously, it comes in. Gmail look through they have the software to be able to look through the email. And what will happen is it pays more scrutiny to it because it's in a template. But also as well, then of course you've got a link to Twitter, to YouTube, to Instagram, etc., etc. So what I would suggest is testing. Okay, and this is always a key thing. Whether you've been in this business for a long time, whether you're just starting, and this is definitely if you're just starting, this is something that perhaps is not sort of revealed very much, because all we ever see is the nice final shiny product. There's a huge amount of work and effort that goes in behind the scenes to make something successful online, to make any business successful. So what I would suggest is testing. So you get yourself an email address at Yahoo, you get one at AOL, you get one at Gmail, and you don't do anything with it other than just sending yourself test mails, subscribing to your own little list, and then you send out that email, and you can then see. So basically what you're doing is you're completely mirroring and replicating the experience that your users are going to get. So you can see whether you will hit the inbox or not. So just try one link at a time, that kind of thing, to add it in, and and just test and try things out. But by having people's email address, clearly you are going to be doubling your access to them than just having the Facebook group. So that is in terms of is it relevant to build a list? Yes, it is. It is completely still relevant to be using autoresponders in tandem with your social media, etc. And where do I see social media going? Where do I think that's going? Where we're going to go, etc. It's interesting as a father of a 15-year-old boy who is has his phone glued to his blooming hand. Not this hand at the minute because it's broken. It'll have to be this hand. That's a whole nother story. He spends a lot of time. So for him, it's Snapchat is the main one. It's interesting. You see the demographics of what's sort of going on. So Facebook, from what I can see, with him and his friends, etc., and then obviously doing what I do, Facebook. They use Facebook, your normal user. I class him as a sort of a non-IM user, and I look then at the sort of the parents, etc., of his friends, and also what his friends do as well. So I go and sort of look and check and see how people are using these social medias, etc. And pretty much, and this perhaps may or may not come as a surprise to you, but what you'll find is most of the time with the kids, what they're doing with Facebook, all they're just sharing videos. They're just sharing videos. He's obsessed with sharing rugby videos, etc. And that's the main thing that they will do. They'll find a video, they'll share it and tag their mates in, etc. When you're going up then, though, to sort of 25 plus, then they tend to be, we use Facebook, perhaps in groups. I'm a member of a group on my personal Facebook account, just to do with the rugby. That's the only reason I'm on it. And there's several dads as well. It's the only reason they're on Facebook is for being inside of that group. And but then what you tend to find is then ladies, use it a lot for sort of for commenting, and they're tagging their friends. And my wife uses it if her and her mates are out and taking pictures. And a lot of guys, we do that as well, etc. But there's the different demographics. You've got the young kids just tend to use it for sharing videos. That's not where the kids are at. If your market is targeting teenagers, then definitely something like Snapchat is going to be for you. Instagram is another one that he uses a huge amount as well. They like things that are quick, and just sort of you have a little story on your Snapchat and you put your photographs on it and people follow your story, etc. And you have these threads as well where you message people every day and you keep this thread going. It tells you how long it's been going for, etc. So it depends on the market that you're looking for, where you're going. And from what I can see, it's interesting. And if the trends follow the way that they have been going the last few years, is the kids tend to be the early adopters. They'll use something and then they'll move on. And then the adults tend to come along and use it. So it's interesting, again, if you listen to Gary Vee, he's saying if you think that Snapchat is just for 14-year-old girls, then you're hugely mistaken. And he's right, because what's happening now is more people are coming along onto it. And I'm sure it's something that I will adopt at some point. But as I say, I'm working my way through Facebook, Instagram at the moment. And you'll find that, and then there'll be other things that will come along. There will be other stuff. There was a software that he mentioned last night, actually, at the dinner table, with when we were there with his girlfriend, and they were talking about another piece. And I was thinking that's something I've never even heard of before, and I'll have to get the name from him of that one, because that's obviously another one they've now adopted and have moved on to. So that's the way I see. I think sort of new platforms are coming along. You think they change, and the kids sort of seem to be the ones that adopt them fairly quickly, and then we as adults come along afterwards. And then obviously people like Facebook go and buy them, Instagram, etc. Because Instagram is now connected to Facebook, and you can put your ads, so they go into Facebook and they go into Instagram as well. I'm sure as things go along, etc. These businesses will be bought up by bigger businesses, and obviously they will then allow you to amalgamate them, so you'll be able to connect various different sort of accounts together. Obviously, as it stands at the minute, if you post on Instagram, you can put it on Twitter as well. Of course, you can put it on Flickr, So more and more you will find that they start to tie up to one another as well. So that's the way I sort of see it going, is basically more platforms will come along, or there'll be a deal of the day, if you like, that'll sort of move on then to something else, and they can tie up, and you can tie your adverts into them, and whether they work for you or not obviously is clearly just down to your own sales funnel, your own marketing, your copywriting, the offer you make, whether you're making the right offer at the right time to the right person at the right price. So, and if you've used Facebook as it is now, Facebook now is the sort of the popular one for those kind of ads. If you've managed to get an ad that is going to work, that is going to convert in there, then of course you can then start to move it across and look at those other things as well. But the key thing I'm going to end on today is you must always still be giving people the option to enter their email address, whether that be putting push notifications onto your website, or whether it be an actual an opt-in form, whatever it is. You've got to give people the option to be able to to follow you in that way, where you can hit their inbox, because you're going to give yourself then twice the opportunity to do it. So you guys, I hope that answers your question, and I hope that gives you a little bit more insight into my sort of personal views, etc., of the way I see it. But as a list builder, always for me, you've got to be building that list. You've got to be getting people into your autoresponder, because then if Facebook, if you've just got people in a Facebook group and somehow, their terms and conditions change and you lose it, then it's gone. Now, yes, you can, you can have your autoresponder account shut down, but you need to be backing that up on a regular basis. If you're backing that up, sort of once or twice a week, then if it does get shut down for some reason, but if you're doing good quality marketing, there's no reason why it should get shut down. But if it does for some reason, obviously you've then got a file, you've got a CSV file that you can then go and put into another autoresponder somewhere else and pick back up where you are. It's not a big disaster for you. But of course, if everything is just on social media and you haven't got that ability to be able to download that CSV file in that way, like from a group, etc., then of course all of that hard work is going to be lost. So that's the key thing, is just make sure that you've got a backup. All right, so I hope that helps, and that's the end of today's Ask Anthony. Of course, as ever, the solopreneurshow.com is where all of the light version of the interviews are. We've got lots of great interviews with a lot of great people there. And if you then go to the site, go to the solopreneurshow.com, you will be able to see the opportunity there where you, of course, can opt in. You get a whole bunch of great free stuff from us, and you're able then as well to join the Facebook group where you can see the full interviews. All right, so I hope you enjoyed today's show, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the week, and I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers. Bye now.
To get your hands on more great business training and advice, plus the chance to join our free Facebook group where you will see extended guest interviews and behind-the-scenes access to Anthony, go to www.thesolopreneurshow.com and join us today.